Do you actually have to be on cocaine to be on this podcast?
It's a great day to be a Wildcat!
Durfing.
What's up, everybody? You are listening to yet another edition of Cocaine Willie. I am your commissioner, Bob Trollsby, and this is just another quick introduction to let you know that you are listening or about to listen to part 2 of our defensive group position previews. This is going to feature our linebackers, the defensive backs, and special teams. We're going to lump that all together. Before we get into the episode, I do want to give a quick shout out to our sponsor, Anti-Maze Parlor. You know it by now, probably, but they are located at 616 North 12th Street in the heart of Aggieville in Manhattan, Kansas. And I don't think you're going to find a better bar, not just in Aggieville, but a dive bar anywhere. Anti-Maze is absolutely the go-to destination for you. They've been in business for 51 years and are an absolute must-visit destination in Aggieville on game days and school nights alike. It's my favorite bar. It's our favorite bar. And I'm sure there are great pubs in Dublin, but this doesn't really hold a candle to Anti-Maze. I can guarantee you that. We go back every time we go back to the Little Apple. And the reasons why, it's because they feature a wide variety of craft cocktail, draft beer options, and everything in between, along with entertainment like live music, comedy, and all sorts of other events every single week. Check out their website, antimaze.com, to get a full list of their upcoming events. And, they've got everything that you could possibly want there at 616 North 12th Street in the heart of Aggieville. Be sure to tell them Cocaine Willie sent you. And without further ado, we will get into the second half of our defensive position group preview. The linebackers. So returners in this unit, you've got Chef's favorite, most overrated player, in his words, not mine. Also, shout out to Bosco's boys and Scott for calling him out on it on literally every single Blitz Month episode so far. You've got Austin Romaine, Desmond Purnell, Bo Palmer, Rex Van Wy, Asa Newsome, which is a big question mark on what he can do if he can stay healthy, and Zach Wittenberg, who was more of a special teams guy last year. Newcomers, you've got Gabe Powers from Ohio State, Ralph Ortiz from Western Florida, Sawyer Schilke, Weston Polk, Ashton Moore, sound familiar, Darian Whitaker, and McGuire Richmond. Austin Romaine, Chef, I'll let you get your take here if you would like. Austin Romaine is being ballied about as if he's a second-round guy if he were to leave after this season. Chef, I will let you wax poetic on how overrated you think he is. So just get you on the record here, right here.
I don't think he's overrated. Let's get that out there. I asked the question, is he in the territory of possibly being overrated for how much, as you love to say, glazed? PFF glazes him hardcore. I mean, and maybe deservedly so. Maybe. I'm just saying, because maybe I'm an old curmudgeon of a man, but when I was growing up and you had Josh Buell and you had, even my adult life, you had Arthur Brown. Is he in the same ballpark as Arthur Brown? Does he play the same caliber ball as Arthur Brown? I don't know if he does, but people are putting him in that ilk. To say, and that's what I'm saying. Is he deserving of that ilk?
We're not like, I don't.
People were saying that he was on the Mount Rushmore of linebackers at Kansas State. I'm saying
I'm not putting him there.
But this is what I'm saying. That's why I brought the question up on the Bosco's Boys episode, is because if he's being touted as that, I think that people are in for a serious letdown, because I don't know if he's necessarily right now at this moment Mount Rushmore material, but he is very, very good. He is our best linebacker, clearly, in the room. That is not without a doubt. But in terms of history at Kansas State, that's where I was getting people maybe to temper down the expectations of Austin Romaine. And that's all I was saying. I think he's very good. I love Austin Romaine.
So here's the deal. Here's the deal. When you look at what they did side by side, stats wise, granted, Arthur Brown had 2 full seasons at K-State. Romaine has had 2 full seasons, really one where he was the guy, right? And this season he could be. It's like okay. This is what I'm saying is,
if you're saying he started his career last year.
When Arthur Brown was a freshman and sophomore, I'm throwing that out. So let's throw out Austin Romaine's first year at K-State.
Okay.
If we look
How
at
many
this
games did
year,
he play his freshman year? He
wasn't. Or are you talking about Austin Romaine?
Austin Romaine. Yeah.
He played probably 8 or 9.
He had 22 tackles.
I mean,
he started from that KU game.
Yeah, he
played
didn't
7 games.
The thing is, he didn't have
No, he actually started the UCF game.
He played 7 games.
Yeah. Okay.
He started all those. He started all the Big 12 play.
That's a season to me.
To me, that's a season as well.
Okay.
That's a season.
But I'm saying when you.
But he was a true freshman, so let's not poo-poo him for that.
And I'm taking out Arthur Brown's first 2 seasons that were at Miami because they don't matter to us. They don't count. And when you look at his junior year and his senior year, and you could have the opportunity here if you look at Romaine last year and then what he could do this year. Arthur Brown had 101 tackles and then 100. So 201 total tackles between the 2 years, split almost perfectly evenly. He had only 3 total sacks. He had 3 interceptions. And when you look at what Austin Romaine did last year, I mean, he's got 96 total tackles. He has 2 sacks, 2 pass deflections, 3 forced fumbles. I mean, there's no interceptions on the board there, but when you look at them on paper side by side, they're not as dissimilar as you might think they are. And it depends also on what he can do this year.
No doubt. I'm not saying statistically he's made plays, but I mean, he's not. If you can remember back to what Arthur Brown was, and you put him side by side with your eye test to Austin Romaine, I don't think they're comparable.
He's not there yet.
I don't even
think that's fair.
I think it's doing a disservice to both players.
Yes, to try to compare them,
because the eras of college football are different then too.
Yeah,
I mean, the era Arthur Brown was in was not that dissimilar to. It's not like I'm trying to compare him to Semino or something like that.
What I'm saying is, like the makeup of how the Big 12 was on the offensive end in those types of seasons. Like that season is, I think, wildly different than what it is right now. But that's neither here nor there.
In what way? I just want to hear in what way so I can wrap my head around that.
So looking at one of those simple statistics, like interceptions,
okay,
right? Like the teams that we would have played that season, thinking about West Virginia, known as they were very pass heavy, Baylor,
more air raid.
It's
okay.
That's
fair.
That's where
fair.
I'm going. I think it's not fair to compare the 2 players. I
agree.
I wasn't aware people were putting Austin Romaine on a linebacker Mount Rushmore, and I'm not here to discuss that piece, but here's what I will say about him. Number one, I think for the program, the type of publicity that you get from some of these outside sources and saying, hey, he's the number 1 linebacker in the Big 12 is great for us. Whether that is neither here nor there, none of us are statisticians, and none of us look at not a math pod. None of us look at every single play and watch everything here and therein about what he does every play. How I look at Austin Romaine, and I will very much say this: his freshman year, he got a lot of flack. His true freshman
ton
year.
of flack.
A lot of flack.
Dogging him.
People were dogging him, 100%.
I think we were dogging him.
You all can take the credit for that. I specifically remember multiple times when I talk about Austin Romaine and saying, this guy's a true freshman, but they believe that as a true freshman, he has the talent to be out there to play in the Big 12.
Yeah. He's good.
I said at the beginning of last season, Austin Romaine, you cannot look at his freshman season and determine that he's not going to be a good player for us. I always felt that he was going to get better, and the experience that he got during Big 12 play his freshman year was going to help him out last season. And that exponentially, like you would say, like he improved in the offseason, was such a huge player for us. If you believe that he can take that same effort in the offseason and improve for this season, he will be a finalist for the Remington, whatever.
That's for the center, but
whatever.
I know what you're saying. Bednarik and
Nagurski. Yes.
I got
He will be a finalist for one of those trophies if he plays the whole year, like if he doesn't get hurt. But if he makes the type of improvement that he made from his freshman and sophomore season in his sophomore to junior. Okay. So I take some of the marketing behind what PFF does, and like I do think people sometimes will take that as gospel, and because those people watch every play and they look at they have all of these like statistics and all of these things around it. But in the grand scheme of things, I just believe in what product he's put out on the field last season and how I believe he's going to improve this season. And I'm not putting him on anything until someone's career is done. Right. But I truly believe he's I'm going to say the second most important player on this defense. Number one's VJ Penn.
I would say he's number one. I would say I'm even doubling down that I think he's that important to the team. Now, this is why I wanted to say what I said about like him being not that he's not a good player. I think he's a great player. But the reason why I said that he might be leaning towards the overrated because he's a middle linebacker. And like you said, at PFF, they got people watching games, every snap, all this stuff. But as a fan, if a running back gets a run of 40 yards, you know who they blame that on? They mostly blame it on the middle linebacker. They blame it on the star of the defense. And if, say for knock on wood, that we're not as good on defense as we should be, Romaine's going to get a lot of flack for that. And that's where I think people are going to maybe, because people are fickle, they're going to freaking turn on him, unfortunately. But if he's great, he's great. And I'll bite my tongue and I'll eat crow and all that. But if the worst is the worst, I'm just laying out the scenario that people were hyping him up so much that it can only go bad for him. That's what I was saying, because I think he's great.
Yeah, you're almost arguing this is being so hyped. He's being so hyped that you're preparing yourself for a letdown.
Yeah, I mean, look, for God's sakes, look at what they said about freaking Avery Johnson this offseason, that he had a terrible, that there were people that saying that Avery Johnson didn't have a good season.
Yeah.
Because he was getting Heisman hype in the offseason before he started a full season. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Austin Romaine's even more proven than that. But if, let's say, the defense is not that great, it's so easy to turn on a middle linebacker than it is a quarterback. For sure. What are they going to do to him?
For sure. They're massacred, my boy. Yeah, I agree. I think that's all very fair to state. I do want to get into the rest of the unit because this unit is more than just Austin Romaine. Some of the other guys that you've got, I'm curious with a guy like Desmond Purnell or Bo Palmer. Those are also two guys that have a ton of experience. They played in a ton of games, a ton of snaps at K-State. What are you looking for from those guys? Not backing up Austin Romaine, but being in that unit around him, kind of in the trenches with him, snap in and snap out. What are you looking for from Dez and Bo? And from some of the other guys, like there's a guy in Rex Van Wy who's gotten some play. There's a guy in Asa Newsom who we've been hoping to have a breakout season for, but injuries have just prevented that from happening.
Well, I think Desmond Purnell is another kind of vital guy on this defense just because he's been, I would say, consistent in that position. I mean, he's been here a long time. He's a guy that just has done so much, for this program, and he understands his role with the defense. He shows a lot of athleticism, especially in situations where we've seen him rushing the quarterback. I think he's really good in pass protection, pass defense when needed. He's kind of set a standard for what I expect from him. When you get to your senior year and, how much can you really improve in the off season to get yourself better? I think freshman to sophomore is the biggest jump you can make. I just believe in what he puts out there. I think he's a really good linebacker for us. I think Gabe Powers behind him, the Ohio State transfer, is going to be very important, especially a guy who is obviously coming in from a big program. We haven't heard his name a ton, but I think the expectation is he's going to be the guy behind Dez this upcoming season, which will be important, just, having someone with some experience. But I think some names that a lot of us are hoping to hear more are like Asa Newsome, like a guy who's been really hit by the injury bug. And a lot of us were really excited about, him as a freshman. He got some time, got hurt. And then, last season was no bueno. So I just hope for him that he's able to play and be a part of the defense this year. I want to see him out there, as somebody who loves the game of football, just to be able to get out there and make some plays for his team. So, this is a unit that maybe, I don't know if it's fair to say top heavy. Maybe this is a top heavy talent unit. You have two guys that, are extremely, extremely good. And some guys behind that have gotten some time. Some guys that haven't gotten some time, but potentially could be making some plays for us. So will be interesting to see behind Austin Romaine and Desmond Purnell what we get from that group.
Yeah, the Austin Romaine and Desmond Purnell are going to be the two mainstays, and I think they're going to be out there the majority of the time. I do like what Gabe Powers brings. I think he's more strong in the pass game and the pass defense. It's going to be interesting to see how many linebackers we even get into rotation, because I do think Bo Palmer, is he coming off an injury as well? I'm almost 100% sure that he tore his knee up last year too. So him backing up Romaine, if he's back to 100% health, that's perfect for us. And then you can start talking about the freshmen and the younger guys like Whitaker. Can he find a way onto the field? I mean, he's got the size. He's already ready physically. Now it's about, can you get the development and not necessarily have to throw him in the fire like Austin Romaine was his freshman year. And now you could pick and choose where you place him. And that's perfect, because that's exactly what freshmen are meant for. You get those 4 games to preserve the red shirt, and you get your chance to learn and be thrown into the fire to some extent, but we get to choose the fire that you're in. You get the lowest grade fire, not the blue flame, but you get that outer orange flame where it's going to burn, but you can survive it. So I hope we can get some of these younger guys and really show the depth of this unit, because Rex Van Wy, a guy that was a freshman that we got out of JUCO. You don't ever really see that. So he had 1 year of incredible ball at JUCO, and we bring him in. Now he's had some time to develop in the program. Can he get up to speed, and he could get himself into the rotation where if you have 6 guys with Asa, that's huge, especially if you're only playing 2 linebackers. If you're running that 4-down set, there's a lot of flexibility when you have that much depth. And that's why I'm so high on this unit, because the depth at the Sam, Mike, and Will are really big for us. So I'm really excited that we can get out there and we can stay healthy, because the last few seasons at linebacker, we've been getting punished. We've been getting hit hard with the injury bug. So we need to have that depth. And I'm like I said, I'm going to say it one more time. I'm excited for this unit.
How many guys in this room, or just in general, how many guys exceed 80 tackles this season? I guess just in the defense in general, because that's only That's only happened like 2 or 3 times since 2012 that we've had two guys exceed 80 tackles individual, like 80 total tackles.
Right. Romaine's going to be one of them
because he had 96 last year, and he'll break 100. I'm confident he'll break 100 this year.
Will Desmond do it?
What do you have last year?
Desmond probably had 70.
Dez had
70. 80 tackles is a lot of tackles.
80 tackles.
Desmond Purnell had 46 total tackles this year.
He had how many?
46.
46.
The second highest guy was BJ Payne with 64.
I mean, it's also probably fair to say there's going to be, because some differences and potentially running more 4-2-5, the tackle numbers could be a little bit
skewed that way.
Yeah,
I don't think we have more than 2. I don't think there's any chance.
Either.
And I'd rather be low. I'd rather have low tackle numbers. That's successful team defense if you've got low tackle numbers, or bad. I mean, that means they're scoring a lot. I don't know.
The last time
I'd rather not have VJ Payne be our second leading tackle, if I'm being honest.
The last time we had 2 guys over 95 tackles each was 2017 with Jade Kirby and Trent Tanking.
I mean, those dudes were tough.
With Denzel Goolsby in third with 78.
Yeah, we were a bad defense, though. We were a bad defense.
Yeah,
very bad defense.
Very loaded on those top guys, for sure. All right. Any other commentary on the linebacker group before we move on to DBs?
No, I mean, I'm not. I'm excited to see how we handle this first game. That's going to determine. I think that's going to determine a lot for the rotation behind Desmond and Austin. So it's going to be interesting to see, because Iowa State throws a lot. They throw a lot out there. I think it's like the same few plays, but they have different formations that run the exact same play. So you're going to see 3 tight end sets. How do we handle that? We're going to see 3 tight end sets, but they're spread out wide. How do we handle that? And that's a lot to do with the linebackers. A lot of the linebackers going to be having to communicate through the D. They're the guy. They're the middleman for the secondary and the D line on the communication for the whole defense. So I'm pumped. And I think this first game is going to prove a lot.
All right. Moving on to corner. We've got returner Justice James, formerly Justice James. Justice Clemens is what he will be known by. It's giving me shades of Jordan Henriquez Roberts. He's been through, Bill Henry Walker. We've got, lots of name changes that have happened through the years. But yeah, Justice Clemens is a returner. We've got Donovan McIntosh, Zayshawn Rich, and Kenigel Thomas are the returners in the corner room. Newcomers, you've got Amarian Fortenberry from South Alabama, Jaden Rowe from Oklahoma, Sirius Stinyard, JoJo Scott, and Martell Jackson, some of the freshmen coming in there. You do lose a lot, I think, with Jacob Parrish, who we saw balling out for the Bucs this past weekend. He had a couple of pass deflections that were elite level, I would say. And then Keenan Garber, 2 NFL guys. Keenan Garber currently with the Minnesota Vikings. You've got a DB room in general that I feel like every year now we've had this conversation around, there's question marks in the DBs, whether it's corners or safeties or vice versa. There's always a question mark with one of these 2 groups. But with the exception, I would say, of last year with the safeties, because we were all really excited about Jordan Riley, and he very much underwhelmed expectations based on how he performed last season. I would say with the exception of last year, pretty much every time we've had question marks in one of these 2 rooms, they've overcome it and they've exceeded expectations. They've definitely answered a lot of those questions, I would say. Just because I think Van Malone is one of the most well-respected defensive backs coaches in the country. And then you've got Joe Klanderman, who he's certainly had head coaching opportunities now at this point. He's been a very proven, very successful defensive coordinator for K-State in his time here. So I guess just when you look at corner specifically, we'll get to safeties, but when you look at corner specifically and you look at losing Jacob Parrish and losing Keenan Garber, with the depth that you have now, with the newcomers that have come in, how big do you think the question mark actually is at corner this year?
I'll go first. I mean,
Yeah.
I am.
I think it's pretty big.
I think it's extremely extremely big.
This was your biggest question mark, wasn't it?
Yes, sir.
Correct. Yeah. So, you are right. Like historically, if you think about it, historically, they figured it out, except for last year.
Except for last year.
You bring in some new talent, at least from a transfer perspective. Is Zayshawn Rich going to be able to play to a similar level that he did at the bowl game? He started off the bowl game pretty poorly, but he really, I think I would say 3/4 of that game looked like a starter, looked like a capable starter, Big 12 starter. Justice Clemens has a lot of experience, which is obviously important. I don't know. Yeah, I'm nervous about this group because I think from an expectation perspective and some of the transfers we brought in, I figured I would be hearing more about, a guy like Marion Fortenberry who's been hurt, he's been hurt in practice. And he might be the guy. Is Jaden Rowe, we hear some
Freaky
athletic guy. Definitely. Is he up there? I'm nervous. I'm nervous about this group. Cause I wouldn't say, in past seasons, we've had this steadfast starter on one side, Jacob Parrish, and you're kind of replacing both sides this year. And you're hoping that you're hitting on some of these transfers to ease maybe what you could deem some bleeding in that room. So it's my biggest question mark for a reason. I see some talent there, but is it gonna be what we need? Who knows?
Yeah, I mean the question is there. I don't know. Like I said earlier in my words of wisdom, you're only inexperienced until you're experienced, and you can only get it by going out there and doing it. And it's very similar to when we had Julius Brents and Echo Boydo. Those two had not really played ever. And then we throw them out there and they get it done and they turn into some of the better corners that we've had in the Kleiman era. So can Zayshawn Rich be one of those guys? Can Donovan McIntosh, who was in that stellar class, that sophomore class, they're redshirt sophomores now, can he develop into these guys that we haven't had frames like this at the corner? This is a new kind of era in the cornerback room in the since the Kleiman era has begun. We've had flashes of this, like Julius Brents, where there's these extremely tall, long guys that could run and be out on an island wide with some tall receivers. But now we've got it basically at every spot that at the cornerback room. I mean, outside of Fortenberry, I think the four guys that are up there are, like, who would we say? We said Rowe. He's 6'1", 227 pounds. He's freaking massive. Donovan McIntosh, all of 6'3", longest neck in history. We've got Zayshawn Rich. He's 6'1", 6'2". He gets it done. Who's the other corner that we got back there?
The returning is Kenigel Thomas.
And Kenigel's 5'11", so he's kind of on the shorter end too. But those three guys that I mentioned prior, I mean, they're huge, and I'm expecting big things, big physical corners like that. The defensive back gets no love because everything, when they give up something, it's noticeable. It's big stuff. So it's hard to be that ultra lockdown, consistent guy that gives up nothing and expects all the praise. So I'm going to give him some grace with that question mark, but we've got to figure it out because that could be the heel for this defense, this team, really. But I've got a lot of faith in it. It's not as big a concern as Matt thinks it is, in my opinion, but it's definitely a question for sure. He's got every right to feel that.
When we are looking back on the season, hopefully in mid to late January, who will be the best corner in this group when we're looking back on the 2025 season? Who do you think is going to be the guy that we look back on and say, this dude was legit?
Want to go on 3 again, Matt?
3,
What is
2,
it? Muted. Okay.
1.
Donovan
McIntosh. Damn it. Formerly Donovan Mitchell in my book. He's the Spider. I'm going to call him the Spider. Can I give him the nickname the Spider? Because that's what
you can
that's
do anything
Donovan
you set
Mitchell's
your
name.
mind to. You can do anything.
Sure.
So that's
What do you like the most about his game?
I mean, he's in the 23-mile-per-hour club, so
Yep.
he's insanely fast. He's long as all get out. Every part of hold on, stop. I was about to say something crazy. I was about to say something insane. So I'm gonna backtrack, rewind the tape. He's extremely long. He's got long arms, long legs. He can get it done. On an island, if he reaches his full potential, a St. Louis, Missouri kid, nasty, gets it done. Man, those are the ones that we look back and like, how was he a 3-star out of high school? Where was he at his true sophomore year? Where was he at? Why was he not playing? And then he's this all conference kind of guy. I'm expecting a lot of big things from him.
Yeah, you said everything stupidly but correct in the way you did it. But
what?
I really wish we heard what you were actually wanting to say.
Bob saw it coming a mile away. I mean, the exit sign was right there, and he read it.
Yeah. No, I believe he's someone that with his athleticism and his, I mean, you said it, his length. If he's improved, he really has the capability to be kind of a lockdown corner, a guy who's just, able to defend, all kind of facets in that realm. I hope he is. Zayshawn Rich is very close though to me, because again, we saw these flashes.
His Rutgers film is insane.
Yes. The bowl game film is really good for a true freshman.
Defensive MVP of the bowl game too, right?
He was so aggressive. He was so, in the run game, when a wide receiver caught a pass on a drag route, he's like a missile, and he's slinging these guys onto the ground. It's really impressive. It's scary how physical he was. And I said this on the Bosco's boys. Shout out to the Scott Wildcat. He's like Denzel McDaniels. That film that Denzel McDaniels had, where he would come up and absolutely lay wood.
Yeah.
But if he can cover a little bit, just get some coverage ability, he'll be the perfect corner. But I think Donovan's going to get there first.
Mm-hmm. I think so too.
All right, safeties. We're in the home stretch. Returners for this unit. We've got VJ Payne, who represented the team at Big 12 Media Days. You've got Colby McAllister, Daniel Cobbs, Wesley Fair, Jack Fabris, Jet Deneen, mostly special teamer, and Mikey Bergeron also joining that group. Newcomers, you've got Gunnar Maldonado, Matt's preseason MVP of the defense, Quay Moss from West Georgia, Logan Bartley, RJ Collins, Jace Adler, and Dominic Mitchell. So you've got another D Mitchell joining the defensive back unit there, Chef. So no more. Well, I guess Donovan Mitchell, Donovan McIntosh. I don't know, man. There's another DM name that might throw you off there a little bit. We'll see. But yeah, you're replacing primarily Marquis Sigle, and that's a guy that, I'm not even going to get into Jordan Riley because I don't think he's worth chatting that much about. But Marquis Sigle really carried that safety unit last year. He was easily the best prospect in the unit. He's obviously proving himself at the NFL level now for the San Francisco 49ers. But he said it himself. There were multiple times where he dropped bags of cash the season before last. Definitely did better when it came to interceptions last year, with 3 that he tallied on the season. But in general, he was very good. This room did leave a bit to be desired last year, to put it that way. How much of an improvement, or not, if you want to go that direction with it, but how much of an improvement is this room this year compared to that room last year?
Golly, It's hard to say because Sigle was so good, and with the question of Gunnar Maldonado's health, because he, like Matt said, he's so instrumental to what the plans of this defense. If he is, say he's up to his form where he was at Arizona, his peak at Arizona, we have two of the best safeties in the conference. And that usually don't have that. If you have two of the best safeties that can, and they're both really good in the box. Like you said, VJ Payne was our second leading tackler. They both can get down there. They both can hit. They both can tackle. If they're good at high safety and controlling the top of the defense, they're going to be instrumentally better because Jordan Riley is a wash, and I think Jack Fabris or Colby McAllister are better than what he showed last year. And if Gunnar Maldonado is on par with what Sigle did, and I know VJ is going to take a step. He took his dreads off. He's looking very grown man-ish. So, man, I'm really, really excited for the peak of where this safety room could take us. Right now, I'm going to say, based on what Gunnar Maldonado's health is, if he's ready for week 1, if he's ready for week 2, they're on par. Or I mean, okay, no, I said that wrong. If he's past that, like if he's going into like the middle of the season and he's not peak Gunnar Maldonado, they're on par. But if he's ready early weeks, they've exceeded. They're going to be way better.
That's my guy, Gunnar Maldonado. I think he's going to be extremely important for this defense. He was a leader at Arizona, captain at Arizona. You bring in a guy like that to your team, it's just such an exceptional add as a whole. His film, when he's healthy, is really good. If you have not seen his film, just Google him on YouTube, take a look. He's extremely athletic. He looks like he's a smart player. You can see how he reads, the offense and knows where he needs to be. So to pair him when he's healthy to VJ Payne, pairing them together, the sky's the limit with that group. When you know that you're going to be in situations where this season you're going to be in high stakes games, you're playing against some really good quarterbacks, some really good wide receivers in this conference. They have to be really good. They do. And VJ Payne has shown it since he started, on the field. The types of qualities that make him a really good football player. So Gunnar Maldonado, I just think is the MVP, my preseason MVP, just because as much as I believe in his athletic ability, I think his leadership on this, for this defense is going to be absolutely key, especially having some groups, position groups that may need a little bit of a bump just from a leadership perspective. So I'm very excited to see what he can provide when he's healthy.
Okay. When we look at Quamos, that's a guy that's been talked about again, kind of quite a bit this offseason and has been mentioned in some of those press conferences with the coaching staff. He transfers in from a lower level, but obviously there is room for a guy like that to get some snaps and have some production at a higher level. I'm curious, what do you anticipate seeing from a guy like Quamos this season?
Man, I think he's kind of like that nickel kind of guy. I mean, he's an undersized safety. I don't think we're going to put him at the point like a middle safety where he's high balling and he's trying to cover the, the backside of the defense in like a high safety look where he's taking the vertical route while the corner plays underneath. I think he's going to be that nickel, what Marquis Sigle really did, where he was a corner that moved over to safety, that can cover man coverage, that can do those things, and he could take the flat routes and he'll come up and stick you. He's not like a what was the safety's name that we got from North Dakota State before Sigle? Hayes.
Josh Hayes.
Josh Hayes. Now Josh Hayes was all of probably about 6'1", 6 foot, and he was more that deep safety that was playing in the thirds coverage. And I think Quamos, he's going up a level. So those are always kind of those ones that's a little tricky that it's going to take him a little bit of time to get the speed of the game. But I think once he does, I think he has a role on this defense that can get it done because he's 5'10", 185. I think he's going to be great in certain dime looks or, when we need somebody to cover the slot. I think he'll be great. But I've got to see it first because he is going up a level.
That is my concern, kind of the going up a level. But hey, the vibes from from the staff, really
Klanderman
believe in this guy. Yeah, I mean, I guess we could look back at last year and see if there was a lot about Jordan Riley in the offseason. But
yeah, that's even what I mean. I don't. Where did he come from? Georgia State? No, he came from
Ball State, right?
Ball State.
I'm saying where Quay Moss come from.
Quay Moss
West Georgia. West Georgia.
That's even a lower level than the map, right?
Yeah, that's
they're FCS. I think they just moved up from D2 to FCS last year, if I remember.
Yeah. So I take a lot of it with a grain of salt coming from the coaching staff, but the coaching staff are making a deal of mentioning his name and, believe that he's going to be the guy, that's going to be getting a lot of time. So week 0 is going to be really interesting to see if he's ready. He just depending on, how things go in that game. But, I think he's an underrated pickup. I think it was a good pickup just from, looking at tape. Is it going to translate to Big 12 football? I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if he can actually make that jump and have the production that we would love to see from some of these FCS guys that have transferred in that historically we've been able to get that production out of guys like Sigle and Hayes. The last question I have, and it comes from Zach Zumwalt. Between both DB groups, who will lead the team in interceptions this year?
That's interesting.
Who led last year?
Interceptions was Sigle with 3.
Yeah.
So that's not a difficult number to pass.
It's not.
But it's this team, though. It's not necessarily who goes over what Sigle did. I could see it's probably got to come from, I don't know. It's the safeties because safeties get more opportunities, being able to play in the middle, roam a little bit more. I'd probably go VJ. I'd go VJ. I would go Gunner, but I don't know how quick he's going to be up to par, and that's less games that he's going to be able to play. I would like to think like a corner could do it too, but you just don't get that many opportunities wider, farther outside. Those are longer throws that quarterbacks usually don't try to make. It's usually these, especially in the RPO games that we're playing now, it's a lot of slants, a lot of inside breaking routes. So I'm going to give it to one of the safeties. I'm going to say VJ.
Yeah, I would say VJ also. It makes sense for one of the safeties. I don't know if Gunner's going to be ready week 0. I
keep saying that, but that's just what I've heard. He may be healthy, and it's just he hasn't gotten a lot of time at practice. And I want to see him out there week 0. I think he's going to be a very important player. I don't know. I agree. I think VJ is likely right now. But a cornerback could definitely be in the mix too. I mean, some of the length that you have out there could easily be in the mix, but it makes sense for safety. And I think you go with the most experienced guy in the program.
All right. That's going to do it for the defense. I do quickly want to chat special teams before we break here, because special teams fits in with defense as far as when you look at it in fantasy. So we've got this kicker dilemma, and Cub Patton is hurt and doesn't seem to be returning this season. You've got Leighton Simmering, who is 1 for 2 on extra points in his career. He's 0 for from field goal. Then you have Luis Rodriguez, who came from College of the Canyons, which I couldn't even tell you what level that is. I believe it's JUCO. He was 31 of 34 from extra points. He was first in the state of California in field goals made and attempted, and has a personal long of 54. You've got Simon McClannon returning as punter, Tegan Cobb as backup, and yeah, Cub Patton is probably just not happening this year. But how worried are you on a scale of Chris Tennant being pulled mid-season in favor of Ty Zentner doing 3 duties to Martin Gramatica? How worried are you on a scale of Chris Tennant 2022 to Martin Gramatica way back in the day?
Man, I am. Who's a good kicker? I can't say McCrane. McCrane was really good. I can't say.
Really? That is, you really feel more confident?
No, I'm trying to think of lower than McCrane. So I'm thinking like Blake Lynch was really good. He was really good.
Jack Cantelli was hit or miss from time to time.
Jack Cantelli, was he the one in the Auburn game?
He was the Auburn.
Oh yeah, he was.
The Auburn game.
Yeah,
right.
That's where I'm at. I'm Jack Cantelli right now. I'm nervous. I'm very nervous. I mean, you don't bring in a freshman in to think that he's going to play, and if it wasn't for a torn knee, that he would be playing right now. So you bring in a JUCO guy midsummer.
Yeah,
that's tough. So that's alarm bells for me. That's alarm bells.
Kleiman got on the stage at Big 12 Media Days and said, "We're going to find out who kicker is when we get to Dublin." So that was concerning.
That is concerning.
I'd be taking Jack Cantelli in a heartbeat.
Absolutely. By the way,
yeah. I mean, I'm trying to think of bad. Like he said, Chris Tennant. Was that his sophomore or freshman? Sophomore year. That was his sophomore year. That's the worst. So I guess I would go that.
Yeah,
But I was trying to think of a level before that, because a level right in front of that.
I think we got it.
Who's the worst kicker we've had in the last 30 years? That's a tough one.
I'd say Cantelli, right? Because he had a brother, right?
Josh Shelley, Cherry
was bad.
And Anthony was good. Anthony was
really
and Jack were both very good. Jack just has that Auburn game staining his legacy.
That's what I'm taking. My concern level is Jack Cantelli from the Auburn game specifically. That's where I'm at.
Okay. I like, this is a super concerning unit across all facets. All facets.
We had to have some kind of negative discussion on this podcast.
I mean, kicker, like, not good. Hopefully this kid from California can, I mean,
what does he look like? Is he on the roster yet?
Yes.
I don't know.
He looks like a player.
There was a lot to be said about Cub Patton when he came in. I mean, we thought, yeah, he had a leg. He was in a position where he could be starting as a true freshman, would be very impressive. Punter, Simon McClannon last year had some moments, but wasn't great.
No.
But
what does a great punter really look like, though?
Flipping the field.
Yeah, but I mean, you don't want to outkick your coverage either. I mean, it's like there's a double-edged sword to it too. I mean, big returns, because some would say the punt that happened in Arizona was a really good punt, and he bounced it short, and he still got it. Still got it returned on him.
I mean, the field position, the average field position for the offense needs to improve next year.
Yeah.
That was a big statistic last year.
126th out of 130
really bad
games.
And a lot of it is coming from the punt game. Returns, really bad. You had one moment with Dylan Edwards.
One.
And the consistency of trying to get some yards in the kick game was not there. That's an important piece. Not always starting at the 25-yard line. Putting yourself in a position where, we feel like we can make some plays and have your field position be a little bit better than starting at the 25. Last year was just really, really poor from a special teams perspective. And so the way that we should be looking at it is, well, there's no way you could get worse hopefully.
Yeah, but
But
I feel like with this unit, you probably could.
I think it's possible. Does that mean that you're going for it more on fourth down?
That's
Being a
not in
little bit.
Kleiman's nature, though.
It's not. But is this potentially the worst kicking situation you've had in 6-7 years you've been a head coach? And this means you just be a little more aggressive. When you're 50 yards out, I don't know. This is a unit that just has to improve all around.
Yeah, I agree. But there's really nothing they can do about it now. The guys that they have now is the guys that they have.
Yeah.
So hopefully what you're seeing is they get their moment to shine and they do it. So really the key especially for kicking, I don't know about punting. I don't really take a lot of stock into punting because I don't really know what's a good punt. I mean, I could see field flipping, but that's just punting as far as you can. But then that opens up returns. That's what I'm saying. The shorter you kick it, the easier it is to cover. So you have like a sweet spot.
Sure. Yeah. I mean,
I'm not saying kick it 20 yards.
I'm not saying it's all on the punter. I'm not saying it's all on the punter.
No, I'm not. I'm not saying that either. But what I'm saying is I don't take a lot of stock into what a fifth what's the average punt, like a 42-yard punt. That's like an average for like a relatively D1 punter is like 42. So if he's averaging 45 yards a punt, which is really, really good, are we like drooling over him? I don't see a lot into it. But for kicking, it's pretty, those are points on the board for me. Your punting's in the margins, kicking has ramification in terms of points. I think that's more important.
Man. You don't look at the whole deal, do you? You just
but tell me. Explain it to me. I don't know. I mean, who's the last real dog punter that we had? I mean,
Ty Zentner was a really good punter for us.
He was a really good punter.
Devin Anktel was a really good punter for us.
Yeah, he's really good.
Like punting is a very underrated.
Still floating around the NFL, if I'm not mistaken.
Punting is a really underrated part of the whole deal. Like, and it's not all on the punter. It's not. It's the coverage. The coverage has to make plays too, but an extra
that's 10. Where Bob's boys come into play. That's where Bob's special team coordinator comes in.
An extra 10 yards does make a difference. And you say like 40-yard punt. If you average 42 yards, well, if you go 3 and out and you started at the 25-yard line, what's 42 yards?
That's to the 45 the other way.
Yeah. And that team is 20 yards away, 25 yards away from a field goal attempt. I mean,
okay, but look, now hear me out. If we go 3 and out, you want your punter to be able to flip the field from the 25? It's just not going to happen. Now, let's be realistic. I think there's more. And when it comes to punting, can you down punts? Can you be accurate with your punts? Can you put it to where you don't have the shanks? Because I remember a couple of those punts where they're zooming in. The ESPN cameras are zooming in on punter, like looking at his hands, like, oh, it slipped out and it went 15 yards. Now we got to avoid that. But I think it's a lot more to do with the coverage. Can you down punts inside the 20? So you're giving them negative field position, not necessarily flipping fields, because I don't know how many players can from the 25-yard line flip a punt to the other side.
If you're at your 40-yard line and you punt, you can't
want
be kicking
inside the 20. You want it in the 20.
And you can't be kicking it 25, 30 yards.
And that's why I said, like, if you're looking at punting averages, like, are we really arguing, like, who punts at 45, who punts at 42? Like, how do we determine what's a good punter? That's why I said inside the margins, like, that's inside the margins. But kicking, I'm nervous about kicking because if he's going, if he's 60% kicking field goals, how confident are we in kicking field goals? Now, if he's 70 with a new kicker, I'll take 70. I might take 65. but 60, below 60 is bad news for us. I don't know how many field goals we're going to be kicking, to be honest with you.
I don't know. Who in the special teams do you see knocking some heads off this year? Chef, this is almost more just strictly a you question.
You want to hear a name? You want to hear a name?
I want to hear a name.
Logan Bartley. That man is
that's an
assassin on special teams. He is built for gunner work. I mean, not necessarily outside wide gunners, but like he's going down on the field on a punt. You don't call fair catch, he might Troy Polamalu your ass. I mean, he might be a killer out there, to be honest. 6'1", 213. Have you ever seen the boy with his shirt off? He's a freak. I can see him killing somebody. I could see a couple targetings for the boy.
Chef. Oh my God.
All right. Over under 1.5 kick or punt returns for touchdown this year. We had one last year with Dylan Edwards.
Want to go at the same time?
3, 2, 1.
Over.
God over.
I think that's a pretty easy one because that's where my baseline of last year, that was, I would say, the worst year of special teams we've had in Chris Kleiman's tenure.
Maybe ever.
Ever's a long time.
When I say ever, K-State football's only existed in my brain since 1989. So,
I mean, that it's such an easy opportunity to get yourself and get your offense in a better position.
You said returns, right?
Yeah.
Kicker punt returns for a touchdown.
Okay. Yeah.
I was thinking maybe block punts, special team touchdown count. But
no, not in this case.
I'd still say over.
Devon Rice, Devon Rice has been a guy who people have been talking about as one of the returners, and could be the main starter in that area. He's a quick guy. I mean, I imagine they're not. I wonder how much Dylan Edwards is going to get in that area. Number one, because he's going to be getting a lot of play on the offensive end. So I think for this team's sake, from a success perspective, these are the type of plays where a 20, 30-yard return, if you get the ball at the 10, is a lot better than down in and fair catching balls like we were for a majority of last season. We weren't getting really anything, and you're always going to be starting at the 25. It doesn't do your offense a lot of good to be always starting at the 25-yard line, especially with guys who we hear are fast. Your coverage has to be better. Get those guys a little bit more of an opportunity, in space, getting some good blocks. I think it's key. Like it's such an underrated part of the game. And that's something that K-State, has taken advantage of for so long. And last year was just a really disappointing group as a whole.
I don't know if you remember my take from the Bosco's boys when I'm on Blitz Month, because everybody's dogging me on my Romaine take, but I had one of the spicier takes of all time for interesting stats. I said our kickers have more tackles than they have missed field goals.
I like that if that does happen. But my last question is over under 2.5 botched long snaps.
Botched long snaps? Oh, okay.
Do you remember how many
we had 2 in one game?
Yeah, Houston, we had a couple. Who is our?
I want to say there were 3 or 4 that happened the whole season, maybe 5.
Who is our kicker? Who's our long snapper this year?
I don't know.
Do we know?
Man.
Well, there he is. We've got Andrew Johnson and we've got Mason Olguin.
Olguin.
Let me hear it.
Over 2.5. So 3.
Mason Olguin.
Olguin.
I'm gonna say
he's a senior,
under.
so
I'm gonna say under.
Yeah, I'm gonna say under too. I think a big bounce back season. Big bounce back season for the long snappers.
I'm gonna say under. There's no way that happens again. I'm knock on wood. All right, that's gonna do it for us for our defense and special teams previews. Once again, shout out to Auntie May's Parlor, located at 616 North 12th Street in Aggieville. Be sure to tell them Cocaine Willie sent you, and be sure to visit auntiemays.com for a full list of their upcoming events. We also have our merch store up at cocainewilly.com. You can get the Wildcat Country Let's Ride t-shirt. You're probably way too late to order that if you're wanting to take it over to Dublin, but you may have it in time for the start of the season here in Manhattan or here stateside in the U.S. So go check that out at cocainewilly.com. And finally, we are the K-State representative on the College Huddle, the largest community of fan-driven content in the nation. Check them out at thecollegehuddle.com or at College Huddle. And you can follow the show at Cocaine Willie all over social media. You can follow us individually. I'm at Bob Trollsby. Chef is at Chef Andre Napier. And Fireball Matt is at Matt Marchesini. Chef.
Cocaine's a hell of a drug, baby.
We're all coke and no joke. Wildcat Country.
Let's ride.
Let's ride.
Baby.
Happy birthday, Frank.
Happy
Happy
birthday, Tim.
Frank.
Happy birthday, Frank.